who this message is going to be for, but remember who you are. Right? Remember who you are. Like, I'm trying not to cuss here, but I'm really wanting you to get across this message. If you was in a relationship where you lost yourself, if you in a place now where you didn't let somebody go and you don't know what to do with yourself, you don't know the next step, you don't know how you should think, move, you don't know how to get yourself back up, you don't feel the same, you don't enjoy the same things that you used to enjoy, you're thinking about revenge, you're thinking about breaking down, you're thinking about maybe messing up his job or her job, because it can go both ways. But this was motivated by a woman who was asking me, D, well, what do I do after losing this guy? And the relationship that she had was really toxic. Not just toxic because mutually they had a lot of stuff to work on, but toxic because she showed up as the best version of herself and he gave her the representation of himself and not his true self. So she ended up in a relationship where it was only her fighting. And if anybody knows, like I know, when you're the only one fighting for that relationship, you the one that end up losing. You the one that end up beating basically yourself up. You the one that end up getting jumped. You ain't even fighting for the relationship no more. You're getting jumped. So if you're in a situation like that, after the relationship ends, when it all falls down, you need to remember who you are. Some of y'all, man, you think that you're not dope or you ain't this, you ain't lit or whatever, but really you lost your dopeness trying to let somebody experience it who couldn't see it in you. It ain't that you're not dope. It ain't that you ain't cool. It ain't that you ain't beautiful. It ain't that you don't have a great personality. You lost a lot of your edge and a lot of what makes you who you are through a relationship with somebody who couldn't value who you are. Like the young lady that inspired this message last night, matter of fact, it was on my Self-Crowned VIP live chat. That's my private mentorship community. She said, Derek, how do I know my worth? I really don't know if I even know it. Like, the relationship ended, things went, how do I know my worth? I think I lost my worth. How would I even answer that question? Look, anytime you get the question or you think about what's your worth, that's really somebody asking, or that's really just your identity. Your worth is your identity. Who are you? What are your standards? What are your values? What do you cherish? What interests you? That's that's who you are. That's your worth, right? So if you ever get to a point where you're operating below your worth, you're really operating below who you are and what you should be receiving and requiring from the relationship. So I'm going to tell you how you know you forgot who you are. We ain't got to use the worth thing because that kind of gets cliche after a while of saying it, right? But I'm going to tell you how you know that you lost yourself in a relationship. If you got to a point, and hopefully somebody real enough to let me know that I'm talking to them, put I down in the chat if any of these have ever applied to you in the relationship where you were basically begging for compromise at some point. You have been asking, getting disregarded. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been in a relationship where you almost were mad at yourself for what you allowed to go on in a relationship. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. I want to know if we got anybody I'm talking to. If you ever got to a point where you were asking your friends for confirmation for things that you already knew the answer to, but you were trying to get strength from them hitting you over the head basically with what you already know. Girl, I'm tired of this, whatever. But really, you're looking for your friend to help push you over the edge of whatever's stopping you from making that decision to finally leave. That was you getting away from who you are, because the old you can make that decision, no problem. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. If you know that you were compromising on some things, you were letting some things slide just to keep the peace. Like the closest thing to stability in a relationship, to peace in a relationship, the closest replica of health in the relationship was you letting somebody do you wrong and not speak up about it. Just to not have arguments, just to not get criticized. Like that's you forgetting who you are. Or if you got to a point in a relationship where the things that you used to take interest in, you don't even take interest in anymore. The things you used to like doing, why? Because now you can't enjoy them with what you wake up feeling every single day from a relationship that's depleting you. That was you getting away from who you are. All of those things, like you came into the relationship with, and I always have dudes that be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Yo, she's this, she's bitter, she got trust issues, maybe even she's a liar, she did me wrong, she she got attitude with it. I'm like, yo, okay, I get all of that, but is that who she is, or is that who she's become since trying to love you? Like I've asked this question before, who was she before you broke her? Before she was introduced to what you call love, who was she then? Because 9 times out of 10, if you had that attitude off top, he would have never tried to be with you, right? So that attitude that he, crying about, that ain't you. That's who you've become whenever you learned you couldn't trust him to protect your heart. Straight up. Now, there's some of y'all I'm not talking to. This message ain't for everybody. If you were the one that was trifling in a relationship, if you were the one that botched everything, or if y'all mutually just was not a great fit for each other, I'm not talking to you. But I'm talking to those of you who showed up as your best self. You gave the best of you. It was taken for granted. It was spat on, but you stayed so long that you lost yourself in the process. And now that the relationship is over, you all out of character. You out of character. You can't get up. You're not thinking straight. You just overwhelmed with the thought. Maybe you smiling inauthentic smiles whenever you out in public that you don't even really mean because you hurting on the inside. Maybe you don't want the person back, but you don't know how to get over them. That's what I'm talking. That's who I'm talking to. It's like I know sometimes you want to go and get revenge or whatever. And look, I'm not here to say that you need to spare somebody that did you wrong. I know if you in that space, you probably don't even want to hear that anyway. Truth is, revenge is you investing more energy into somebody who didn't deserve the energy that you invested into them in the first place. That's all revenge is. So you go out here, you're going to get revenge, you're going to mess up their job or whatever. Okay, it's going to give you some instant gratification, but ultimately, that's not going to really restore you. You go out here, I'm just going to go smash another dude to get it popping like he was doing. Okay, cool. No, I'm not judging you. It's your body. But you're going to go and connect with other spirits, develop more soul ties that have you even more emotionally dysregulated than what you already are. They don't make sense either. I'm just going to keep it G with you. Do you? But do what's best for you. Remember who you are. And again, that's a process of really getting back to who you were before you gave yourself to the wrong one. What type of energy did you put into yourself? He wouldn't probably dealt with you if you didn't, if you weren't beautiful, if you didn't feel like you was fly, if you didn't have some things going on, if you weren't kind-hearted, if you weren't willing to trust, even if you weren't necessarily thinking you were going to date this particular dude and you gave it a shot or whatever, if you were all guarded and you couldn't be, that there was just no room for him to come into your life, he probably wouldn't have dealt with you. You need to remember that. Get around people who speak to that. Get around people who know that version of you and constantly affirm that. Get back to the activities that you were doing that gave you life. Remember who you are, man. So many of y'all are walking around like treasures, walking treasures for real. I've said this before. Like if you're in that situation, what should I do? Whatever. I want you to understand something. All of that you come with is like better than money, really. But let's say it is the equivalent of some level of money. It's like $1 million. You got a good heart. Again, you hold somebody down, you supportive, you speak to the king of somebody, that's like $1 million. If you have $1 million and you go to somebody and you say, hey, I have $1 million I want to bless you with, I like you for whatever reason, I just want to bless you with $1 million. And this person say, don't want it. I want to go over here and get this scratch off trying to find what I really could already just have in you, but I'm gonna go out here and play with these scratch offs and just take my chances out here and risk everything. But I'm going to essentially take for granted the opportunity to have this $1 million that you come with. What would you say to that person? Would you be saying, well, why do you feel like that? Why won't you take my $1 million? No, that's $1 million. Like for real, like what you come with, if you really worked on yourself, you're a good woman. You ain't do nothing crazy, trifling, nothing like that. You got your flaws, you got your stuff to work on. But for real, like that you rare. You know that you're way above average. That's $1 million. So how would you react to somebody that don't want that play around with that's distracted because he sees some Cuban zirconias and some, again, scratch off lotto tickets that ain't gonna do nothing for him. He's all distracted. What would you do to a person that don't want your $1 million? You would take your $1 million back. Maybe you give it to somebody that's deserving of it. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your $1 million back. You're not going to forget that it's still $1 million. You're not going to walk around with your head down like you ain't got a whole $1 million. And what you bring as a good woman, when you can maximize a man's life and everything he got going on in it. you're the one that increases. As a woman, you were designed. This is why God said, he who findeth the wife findeth a good thing. Like somebody once said, like, you are the favor factor. You are the treasure factor. Like it was really better than money. Because if you think about it, which one would you rather have? And somebody let me know down in the comments. Would you rather have peace of mind and happiness and smiles on your face every single day and support when you need it? Or would you rather have money? Some people are going to say money, but I'm going to challenge you guys to say money. You only want the money because you feel like it can give you at least some of those feelings, peace, happiness, something. So ultimately, this is still more important. What you have and what you come with is even more precious than $1 million. Why are you guys out here forgetting that you a whole come up? You a whole one lotto. Like you come on, man. You over here calling or accepting calls from somebody that dropped $1 million? That ain't shown no progress and no tangible changes that are evidence to, hey, I'm gonna make good on this $1 million. I'm gonna invest this $1 million and maybe even maximize that million into more than what it was. That's the only time that you can really trust the identity of who you become in a relationship is when you've been properly loved into more than who you were whenever you first came into the relationship. And that's only going to happen at the hands of a truly evolved man. That's only going to happen at the hands of a man who don't have to lose a good thing in order to know what he had. And a lot of y'all, the only problem after you've done the healing, after you remember who you are, a lot of y'all just don't know how to position yourself and don't know how to attract a truly evolved man. That's the only missing piece. Some of y'all are out here walking around wife material, somebody's blessing, somebody's vision board, but you don't know how to get in that line of sight for that person whose vision board that you're on, the evolved man. Now, if you want more on that conversation, click the link. I pinned it here in the comments for those who missed it before. It's coming down soon. I did a free masterclass going in on how to position yourself and how to attract a truly evolved man that will maximize you and everything that you got going on. That won't have you around here wondering where you stand and, why am I getting treated like this, and have you operating low below your worth. Click that link. It's pinned right here in the comments. It's also in the caption. I put it in the caption as well, so you can't miss it. It's a free masterclass over an hour of me dropping gems on this. Help thousands of women get in position for their evolved man. Click the link. It's absolutely free. But moral of the story is this. If you've been with a person, failed relationship, etc., do not internalize what they taught you. Sometimes, you can forget who you are because it was rewritten by a person who didn't have any vision. So the longer that you stayed in that relationship that was no good for you, you allowed yourself to be mistreated by the person that was no good for you, it sent a message to your subconscious telling you that you, your soul, your spirit ain't really as lit as it is. Every time you wanted to talk about what was going on with you, but his mom was somewhere else, he had better things to do, your subconscious received the message that, maybe what you're into, what you got going on, how you feel ain't really that important. Whenever he didn't want to take his time in the bedroom to really have intimacy and romance on top of just a physical act of sex, it sent your subconscious mind that you're only as good as your body. You're no different from everybody else. As you continue to support and do and give and sacrifice and it wasn't reciprocated, your subconscious received the message. It was written on your subconscious that, you're not worth the reciprocity. And that rewrote your identity of who you are and what you really deserve. So right now, for those of y'all who have been in that situation, you've been in that relationship, you've been at the hands of somebody who was wrong for you, that didn't deserve you. I don't know if it was a season of their life that it was in, how they was raised, childhood trauma, ex issues, mommy issues, don't matter. Now your only job is to remember who you are. I'm trying not to cuss, but I feel like one of y'all need to hear this message. It may not be everybody, but one of y'all need to hear this message. But let me know in the comments if that's you. Share this if you got anything from this, because I guarantee you it's somebody on your timeline who's going to be thanking you for sending this message to them too. And don't forget to get access to the free masterclass, Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You. It's all about how to attract and tangibly manifest the blessing of a man who won't mishandle you into your life. It's pinned down here in the comment. Right there, that link, just go ahead and click it. Get access before it comes down. It's free. This is my gift to you, but you got to be willing to receive it. I'll let y'all later. Y'all be good.